in high definition from KGMB and KHNL. This is your source for breaking news in the morning. Hawaii News Now Sunrise.
It's 6:30. Here's a live look out at Haleiwa this morning. That's where the surf is building and creating problems for first responders who are still searching for 12 people who were in 2 helicopters that crashed into the ocean overnight. The rescue operation has been going on since midnight. This right here is video from Haleiwa Harbor, where rescue crews from the Honolulu Fire Department staged. The Coast Guard and the Navy, they're also involved in the search. Lots of communication going back and forth. Grace Lee is anchoring our team coverage from Haleiwa. Let's check in with her for the very latest. Hey, Grace.
And Steve, the area you were just talking about is actually just above my shoulder. You may be able to make out the blue lights of the police cars. Now, we know that Honolulu Police as well as the fire department have joined in this multi-agency search. So far, though, there has been no sign of any survivors. Now, we heard from the Coast Guard earlier who said that there were 2 Super Stallion helicopters that collided sometime around 11:30 last night. And we also confirmed with a Marine Corps official who said that this was during some sort of routine pre-planned training mission that somehow went horribly wrong. Now, those 2 aircraft, those Super Stallion CH-53E, those are very large aircraft designed to carry a large amount of troops or also some heavy cargo, some of the largest that our military uses. Ramsey has been covering this and has the very latest on the search efforts for us. Ramsey.
Yeah, individuals from various media also arriving on scene. National media groups are going to be responding as well. This is a huge incident and a huge impact on our local military families and all the Marine Corps families and sailors that potentially could also be on those aircraft. Still no confirmation as to whether these 2 aircraft were all Marines or, again, as I say, whether there were any corpsmen on board that usually will travel with the Marines as well. The latest here from Haleiwa Ali'i Beach Park is that those Honolulu fire units still remain on site. Honolulu Police as well, ready to assist these ongoing search and rescue efforts that began around 11:40 last night, shortly after the Coast Guard and their Joint Rescue Coordination Center was able to ascertain that indeed there had been these 2 aircraft that crashed offshore. The rising surf could certainly impact whether or not, how often, and how long, how far these rescue units continue to operate.
It's true, Ramsey. It's a very complicated math problem when you've got so many different things, environmental issues impacting the search area. There is, of course, the big swell that Ramsey was mentioning that we've been talking about all week. Big open ocean swells, 10 feet on their way to perhaps 20 by this afternoon. Also, on the shoreline, it's manifest as huge surf. There's the currents. And then there's the wind. Now, the wind is going to shift. We're going to see some changes occurring. In fact, I think we can get up our radar here to show you what's looking like a band of clouds and showers that stretches from the northeast to the southwest.
Hawaii News Now at 6.
12 Kaneohe-based Marines are still missing tonight after 2 helicopters collided off Oahu's north shore overnight.
Nearly 18 hours after the fiery crash, search crews are not giving up hope that they'll find survivors. The 2 Super Stallion choppers went down during a routine training exercise late last night. The military says there was no Mayday call. The first report of trouble was from a witness who saw a fireball. The search and rescue operation stretches for miles and involves numerous aircrafts and boats from the county fire department, the Coast Guard, and the military.
And the giant new swell is a major complication tonight. The waves have been on the rise all day. Extra large outer reef breakers. The ocean is churning with strong currents, and add to that 20-knot winds. The Coast Guard expects debris from the crash will be washing ashore.
And that's why the Coast Guard has established a safety zone from Kaena Point all the way to Kahuku Point. The choppers went down about 2.5 miles off Haleiwa. Ali'i Beach Park is closed to the public. It's being used as an emergency command center.
From the North Shore to Kaneohe, we have live team coverage tonight. We'll hear from eyewitnesses and find out who was on board those helicopters and see how service members are dealing with the tragedy.
That it is a go. And The first heat will be in the water at 8 o'clock.
A lot of excitement. That was Clyde Aikau announcing minutes ago that the Eddie Big Wave Surf competition will get started at Waimea Bay in about a half an hour. It last ran back in December of 2009, and we are bringing you live coverage this morning on this very special Eddie Day. Guy Hoggy, Mileka Lincoln, Dan Cook, all out there. Billy V checking on the traffic.
Oh, wow!
I know, it's amazing.
Action here at the Bay, my goodness.
You heard guys and the crowd cheering. The waves are really showing up big now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and like Clyde said, this is one of the best days in years. So, but of course, only for the best of the best.
Developing news, a small plane makes an emergency landing in Ke'ehi Lagoon and then sinks just moments after the pilot is rescued by the Coast Guard.
That pilot was not hurt. We're told he was forced to ditch the twin-engine Cessna in the water because the landing gear was broken.
Chelsea Davis spoke with the owner of the plane and joins us live at Ke'ehi Lagoon with the very latest. Chelsea.
Yeah, Ke'ahi, Lynn, everyone I talked to on scene is calling this a textbook landing, and you saw why. The pilot landed his aircraft in these waters that you see behind me. See that buoy? That's where the plane is, and he was able to get out of that without a single scratch on him. Now take a look at this video we're able to capture of the pilot getting ready to land the plane in the water after circling around the lagoon for about 2 hours burning off fuel. Officials tell us the pilot, who was the only person on board, realized he had a landing gear problem shortly after takeoff. He wanted to return to the Honolulu International Airport, but couldn't lower his gear. He made the call to land in the water instead of landing on land. Right after his water landing, emergency crews were there for the rescue. The plane sank within about 30 seconds. The owner of the plane says he was talking to air traffic control the entire time.
We discussed all the options. We discussed what he could do. Additionally, emergency checklist-wise, I had the manual in hand at the time, so I was reviewing that, and I was passing messages about that. So we were researching all options to get the landing gear down.
Well, of course you feel nervous for the pilot, and but as he slows down and decelerates in the water and you see less splashing and more just sitting there floating, you think, all right, he must be fine. Then you get a little bit of suspense as he exits the airplane, and then after that you're happy that he's all right.
Officials tell us the pilot is a 68-year-old visitor from Australia. He is safe, doesn't have any injuries, didn't even need to get transported to the hospital for treatment. His friends tell me he is a very experienced pilot. He has about 40 years of flying experience. Now, I did talk to the pilot himself. He didn't want to do an interview on camera with us. He says he just wants privacy. He is okay, and all he wanted to do, he tells me, is go home and talk to his wife.
I'm not the quarterback.
What do you mean he's not the quarterback?
Well, I mean, he should be the quarterback. I mean, after all, he is Mr. Sunrise. But Steve, Lacey wore the Cam Newton pants. Oh. Are you ready for some football?
All right, here we go. Everybody in. Sunrise on 3. 1, 2, 3. Sunrise!
Yeah, let's do this. Got it. Whoa.
Whether or not you would catch it. So did the dog.
I was trying to figure out which way it was going. Nice job.
I think the dog's looking for the remote.
What are we doing here on Sunday? Is there something going on today?
Yeah,
Some game.
Some sort of game going on
Man, the
today.
hype the last 2 weeks has been incredible. And we've been a part of it.
I know, it's partially
Where did you
our
get
fault.
those pens?
I don't reveal my secrets.
Neither
Well, there
does
is a big
Camden.
game coming up today, right?
Yes, there is.
That's right. Super Bowl Sunday. Colin Harmon is at the site of that game, Levi Stadium in Santa Clara.
Hey, Colin, how's it going?
Oh, there he is.
Good morning, guys. It is it's supposed to be gorgeous here for the game today. It is very cold right now as the sun's just coming up behind me over at Levi Stadium. People are already here despite it being just 7 o'clock in the morning local time, but we were at NFL Honors last night. That's where celebrities, football players, everybody was there.
cell phone video showing a tour helicopter seconds before it crashed into the ocean near the Arizona Memorial in Pearl Harbor. We're told one of the passengers on board, a 16-year-old boy, is in critical condition tonight.
A little frightening because obviously a helicopter with huge spinning blades kind of coming at you, you don't know what's going to happen.
Somehow we had a knife and we just took turns sawing. It appeared to be the seatbelt around his chest.
Again, that 16-year-old was rushed to the Pali-Momi Hospital in critical condition after he was pulled from the water. Tonight, we have team coverage on a story we first broke on our website, HawaiiNewsNow.com, where Allison Blair is live from Pearl Harbor with reaction from rescuers and Good Samaritans who jumped in to help rescue the victims. Chelsea Davis has more on the aircraft involved. But we begin with our Chris Tanaka, who has been covering the crash since it happened this morning. Chris.
Steph, first thing we want to show you is where it happened, right near the Arizona Memorial Visitor Center. Take a look from above. You can see the dot on the map, the chopper coming down just feet away from a feature called the Contemplation Circle. That's what it looks like from above. Take a look at what it looks like from ground level. You can see the circular flotations marked off by investigators as they continue this investigation tonight. As for those who saw it during the day around 10:30, plenty of contemplation tonight to think about what happened when that tour helicopter with 5 people on board fell from the sky right in front of their eyes.
We saw a helicopter just diving around, dip and dive, and smoke coming off the rear end. And then he came right down and pulled up just short of the land and poof, right down.
Witnesses describing the moment the helicopter slammed into the water and the chaos that ensued.
We heard what was 2 loud bangs. We thought it was gunshots, and we saw people running, which obviously made us scared, particularly in such a high-profile destination.
People we spoke to said it was obvious something was wrong with the helicopter and that it appeared the pilot was trying to guide it down into the water.
Looks like the copter was going to come over the land, and looks like the pilot pulled it back over the water, dropped maybe 10 foot off the shore, and it just sank like a rock.
That's when bystanders sprung into action. Good Samaritans diving into the water and pulling the occupants up.
They didn't stop going down, up and down, up and down. They'd come up, take a few breaths, go back down.
Hawaii News Now first to the scene, capturing this exclusive video of people being transported to the hospital. We counted 5 being taken away on stretchers, though it's still unclear if they were all occupants. We do know the occupants were taken to the hospital, 1 in critical condition. Good Samaritans seen washing fuel from their eyes and bodies.
Just thank God for the people on the shore, the Good Samaritans going in there and helping those people get out of the helicopter.
And again, one 16-year-old boy in critical condition tonight. A common refrain from everyone we spoke to today was the courage displayed by the Good Samaritans as they jumped into the water to retrieve those people. Our Allison Blair continues our team coverage with an exclusive conversation with one of those men. An incredible story, Allison.
It really is, Chris. There were about a half a dozen Good Samaritans that jumped into Pearl Harbor moments after the crash. 3 of those men took turns going underwater using a knife to free a teenage boy who was trapped in the wreckage.
The man that we got out was unconscious.
Yep, live at Genesis.
Chris Gardner told me the chopper was upside down and the water was murky. Once he found the teen, he couldn't tell if the boy was tangled up in his safety belt or his clothes. Whatever it was, it took the men several minutes to get him free.
It was a pretty good knife. It had a serrated edge. Brian, or the Navy guy, actually probably did the last cut that freed him, because I came up for breath and then I went down and we were bringing him up, so we all 3 or 4 people got him to the shore.
Now, Gardner says that the pilot did a fantastic job of getting that aircraft as close as possible to shore. I'll have more details about this rescue coming up tonight at 6. For now, we're live at Pearl Harbor. Allison Blair, Hawaii News Now.
Hawaii News Now at 6.
And this is not about a mailbox. This is about a federal crime that wasn't turned over to federal authorities.
Not about a mailbox. Explosive new details about the FBI investigation into the Honolulu police chief and now his deputy prosecutor wife. There have been several new developments in recent weeks. The investigation into the actions of Louis and Catherine Kealoha before and after the theft of their mailbox is a significant part of this case. In the years since we first reported the FBI investigation was underway, the case has widened significantly. A second federal prosecutor from California is now assisting the lead prosecutor, who was appointed by the Justice Department. And multiple sources tell me a handful of witnesses have now testified before the federal grand jury, including Honolulu police officers. The Kealohas are being investigated after allegations of civil rights violations and public corruption. The FBI is looking into actions by one of Hawaii's most powerful couples, and the case is expanding. It all broke open after Honolulu Police Chief Louis Kealoha and his wife Catherine accused her uncle of stealing their mailbox in 2013. The two sides were deeply involved in a bitter dispute over money. Since a federal grand jury convened late last year, sources say federal prosecutors have brought in witnesses, collected evidence, and subpoenaed police officers and documents to answer several key questions. Whether the mailbox theft was actually staged to frame the uncle and gain an advantage in the financial dispute, and whether elite police units were improperly assigned to the case, essentially investigating a crime that was committed against their own boss.
Investigated by the victims in the case who overstepped their power and authority granted to them by this community, and then took the law into their own hands and used the taxpayers' resources to do it. That's the allegations of why this is so serious.
Sources say key evidence of the crime has mysteriously disappeared. The investigation has not yet generated any indictment or criminal charge. That will be up to the federal grand jury, a process that could take several more months. The biggest new development in the case is that the focus of the investigation is now centered on Catherine Kealoha, who heads the Honolulu Prosecutor's Office Career Criminal Division. Coming up tonight at 10, how this played out from the high-profile family dispute into a grand jury investigation with exclusive details and court documents you will see only on Hawaii News Now. We did reach out to the Kealohas for comment on our story tonight. They both declined. Meanwhile, the police commission says Chief Kealoha's job performance exceeds expectations. That was the result of his annual job evaluation. It says Kealoha was successful in effectively managing the department and ensuring that public safety was maintained at all times. He has been chief for 6 years.
It's going to be an exciting week and weekend for Hula Halau, the Merry Monarch Hula Festival underway in Hilo on the Big Island.
It's Ho'ike night tonight, and Mileka Lincoln is live from the Edith Kanakaole Stadium with a look. Mileka.
Aloha, Chris, Steph. Yes, as you can hear, the house band behind me just started playing and the stadium is starting to fill. Ho'ike is just such a special night for this community. As you can imagine, seats for the competition. We're talking Miss Aloha Hula, Kahiko, Awana Night, eventually awards. Those are the hottest tickets in town. But Ho'ike is handled differently. Every single year, this event is free and open to the public, and it is first come, first served.
We begin tonight with breaking news in a well-known unsolved murder case on the Big Island. The father of Peter Boy Kema has been arrested, and he and his wife have been indicted by a grand jury for their son's murder.
Lynn Kawano's been following the story since the beginning. She joins us live from Hilo with exclusive video of Peter Kema's arrest. Lynn, what can you tell us?
Chris, many have been waiting for this day for 19 years. About 2:30 this afternoon, police in Hilo moved in on this warehouse and arrested Peter Kema Sr. at his workplace here in Hilo. Police officers pulled him over for a traffic violation and then took him under arrest for that. But minutes later, a grand jury indictment came down for murder. Jalen Kema, his wife, was also indicted for murder, but she has not yet been arrested. 2 hours later, though, Jalen did come out here to the warehouse looking for him. 19 years ago, 6-year-old Peter Boy Kema went missing in one of the most notorious cases in Hawaii. The boy was repeatedly abused by his father, and the parents have always been the only suspects. But Peter Boy's body was never found, and the case didn't move for many years. Yesterday, the grand jury indictments came down very late, about 4:10 this afternoon, so police waited until today to move in. Reporting live in Hilo, I'm Lynn Kawano, Hawaii News Now.
We begin tonight with developing news from the Big Island. A gruesome discovery in Puna. Sources telling Hawaii News Now 2 children were found shot to death and a woman's body found in the trunk of a car. Big Island police have now arrested a 49-year-old Puna man. It all happened on Moku Street in the Leilani Estates subdivision. Our Chelsea Davis is live at the scene with the very latest. Chelsea, what's going on there now?
Well, Chris, as you can see behind me, police have the area taped off here on Moku Street in Leilani Estates. We can't see the home from where we are now because it's on the other side of these trees here, but that home is being processed. Police say a car was taken in for evidence, and they're working on getting a search warrant right now to get inside the home. Now, 49-year-old John Ali Hoffman was arrested for 3 counts of second-degree murder, 1 count of first-degree murder, and a firearms offense. Police say a suspicious call came in around 1:30 this morning. When officers got to the home on Moku Street, they noticed a car was driving away with its lights off. When they stopped it, officers saw a firearm next to Hoffman. That's when Hoffman was arrested.
My name is John Hoffman. I live here in Hawaii on the Big Island. I lived here since '90.
Police say when they went back to the home, they found the bodies of 2 children, 1 girl and 1 boy. Police say they believe the suspect lived with the children and the woman. They don't believe the couple is married, however, but they do believe they are in some sort of relationship with each other. It's unclear at this time if the children are his children as well. Now, the names of the victims have not been released. Autopsies were conducted today. Hoffman is being held at a Hilo cell block. Police have 48 hours to charge him. If not, he is released. Anyone with information, call police. Reporting live from Leilani Estates on the Big Island, Chelsea Davis, Hawaii News Now.
Hawaii News Now at 5.
First at 5, trouble in the skies. 2 small plane crashes on the same day, one of them deadly. A single-engine Cessna that had skydivers aboard crashed shortly after takeoff this morning, killing all 5 people on the small plane. And a short time later, a single-engine plane went down in the waters off Makaha. The 2 people on that Beechcraft Sundowner survived. We start on Kauai. That's where a Skydive Hawaii plane took off from Port Allen Airport in Hanapepe with 5 people on board after 9:30 this morning. It crashed not far from the runway, killing the pilot, 2 instructors, and 2 tandem divers on the plane. Our Allison Blair has been covering this story on Kauai all day. She joins us live now from the crash scene with the very latest. Allison.
Stephanie, we are standing on the back side of the Port Allen Airport in between the airfield and the ocean. If you take a look over my shoulder, you can see the plane crashed just outside the airport's property on the opposite side of the fence. Police and members of the Investigative Services Bureau left the scene here about an hour ago. Now only security remains on scene. This was the scene about 9:30 this morning.
As the Hokulea prepares to set sail again, the crew is enjoying its final hours in New York City. Mileka Lincoln was there as the awestruck members made the most of Manhattan.
From Cape Town to Cuba, Hokulea Voyagers have been to some incredible places along the worldwide voyage, but there's nothing quite like the big city. And for many, this is their first visit to the Big Apple. For such a small vessel in comparison to others docked at North Cove Marina in Manhattan, Hokulea sure is leaving a lasting impression.
And we begin with developing news. A Honolulu police officer accused of sexually assaulting a teen is arrested after a 12-hour manhunt. Police released this photo of Officer Jesse LaConce shortly after noon after being unable to find him overnight. Our Lynn Kawano broke this story online and has new details of his capture from Mokuleia. Lynn.
The officer was located about 1 o'clock in the afternoon along Dillingham Airfield. He had some injuries. Sources say he had cuts to his wrist, but he was cooperative. We were there as Officer Jesse LaConce was wheeled into Waihewa General Hospital. He put a sheet over his head. He is assigned to the Windward Oahu District and was allegedly caught in the act of sexually assaulting a 14-year-old girl he knows last night in Ewa. When he was confronted by an adult, he took off. An all-points bulletin was issued overnight for his white Dodge Charger, a police-subsidized vehicle with lights and siren.
He also had his police radio, but HPD deactivated that. Laconce is being treated for the injuries and will be arrested for first-degree sex assault. In Mokuleia, I'm Lynn Kawano, Hawaii News Now.
Dan Grabowski joins us now, the CEO of Rail. There's a lot to get through, and obviously there's been a lot said as far as those meetings and the 6 different options. So you've heard the potential plans. What are your thoughts?
So what people should understand is that really the option we'd like is to complete the entire project, the 20 miles, 21 stations.
But with the money that we have, that's probably not going to happen.
So the FTA, Federal Transit Administration, has asked us to come up with scenarios that if we only had the money we have today, no additional funds, how far could we get, how many stations could we build? And that's what we presented to the HART board last week.
Hawaii News Now at 10.
The rail project has a new boss tonight, but the switch isn't cheap.
After 4.5 years in charge, CEO Dan Grabowski resigned today, effective immediately. Despite complaints about his leadership, he gets a $282,000 severance deal. City Transportation Director Mike Formby is the new interim CEO. He'll stay at his current salary of $147,000 a year.
We want to build public confidence, and we want people to recognize that we are committed to the project.
Transparency and trust are the key words tonight, especially as rail leaders face the challenge of either cutting the route short or finding a lot more money to finish building to Ala Moana.
But just what are the funding options? With new information and reaction tonight, we go live to Chelsea Davis in Aiea with our top story. Chelsea.
Ke'ahi, Steph, we're live along Kamehameha Highway where rail construction is well underway here. Take a look at some of the action. Now, everyone I spoke with tonight is committed on going the full route to Ala Moana. There are a few ideas on how to get there, and yes, extending the rail surcharge is one of them.
Hawaii News Now at 6.
Aloha Mark Takai. The congressman who dedicated his life to public service has died at age 49.
A father, a husband, a veteran, a scholar, and leader. Tonight, an outpouring of love for a son of Hawaii gone too soon.
And I do know his work and his dreams and his hope for the state will continue. But it's just hard to believe.
Well, he was really just a terrific officer. You know, he was smart, he was hardworking, he was really dedicated.
He was just so happy, but I think so in awe of the fact that that was America. You know, that you could go from Pearl City swimmer to congressman, and you know, and he felt very blessed.
I'll just miss him, you know, because he's like my son. He's like one of my sons.
Mark Takai's high school teacher among those hit hard by his passing. The representative had only been diagnosed with pancreatic cancer 9 months ago. We're told he died peacefully at home this morning, surrounded by family.
Takai's family is asking for privacy tonight as condolences pour in from around the country. The President and First Lady sent a message calling Takai a fighter and praising his legacy of courage, of service, and of hope. Hillary Clinton said she's grateful for his friendship, and the loss will be felt keenly from Washington to Honolulu.
Governor David Ige called Takai a shining example and a man of principle and goodwill. And the head of the U.S. Pacific Command, Admiral Harry Harris, said he was a powerful and respected voice for Hawaii's military, and he'll miss his infectious enthusiasm and sense of duty.
This was a non-traditional debate, more of a discussion of the major issues. And of course, the dominant topic was rail.
The majority, a vast majority of the people want to go all the way to Ala Moana. I've been fighting for rail.
I'm aware of that.
I've been fighting for
rail. You
rail.
didn't appear to be aware of that
I disagree.
at the time that you said it's going to stop now at Middle Street.
This mentality that we're going to just keep on spending, take this thing all the way to Ala Moana, no matter how much it costs, is really truly the only bad idea there is out there.
Another topic our viewers have expressed concern about is the ongoing federal probe of the Honolulu police chief.
It's a disgrace to law enforcement. It embarrasses law enforcement because it makes it look like everybody who says, oh, the cops are corrupt, the cops are corrupt. Here you have a clear and unequivocal issue.
I don't say he should forever be taken out of the office, but because, and only because, he is the chief, he's the #1 individual in the police department, I think a temporary step aside to maintain the underlying level of integrity and trust between the force and the public is appropriate.
I will continue to support whoever is in charge of the Honolulu Police Department as long as they're doing their job.
Okay.
And what I've seen is that the job is being done well.
Our Hawaii News Now political analyst weighs in on what he thought were the strengths and weaknesses of each of the candidates.
Overall, I thought this was a very good debate for Mayor Caldwell. He seemed calm and in command of the facts, but he was a bit rattled when he was pushed on some of his ethics challenges. Charles Dejoux really didn't convince me or I think other voters that he has a detailed plan for rail, which is what he needed to do. But he was very good on affordable housing issues, particularly explaining how he thought the height limit should be raised. Overall, Peter Carlisle didn't really explain why he should be mayor. He was very good on his criticism of Chief Kealoha, but he was much better overall as a critic than really making his own case for why he's the best of the three candidates.
The primary election is 1 week from Saturday on August 13th. Mileka Lincoln, Hawaii News Now.
The machines didn't work to take the ballots, so we had to put it in by hand, but there was a lot of confusion in there. And
you went in, there were pretty much lines everywhere you looked.
Obviously, the people that work here are short-handed today, but they were doing a great job.
Some frustration at the polls today and a whole lot of patience as Hawaii votes on this pivotal election day.
Tonight, voters are selecting the next president, along with 3 members of Hawaii's congressional delegation, state legislators, and county leaders. And let's not forget a slew of constitutional and Honolulu charter amendments.
And good evening, everyone. Hawaii voters have just 1 hour left to cast their votes in the general election. Anyone who is standing in line at 6 will still be allowed to vote.
The biggest race tonight is the presidential race, pitting Democrat Hillary Clinton versus Republican Donald Trump. This is a live look at Hillary Clinton's campaign headquarters in New York City. It's at a convention center with an actual glass ceiling.
Donald Trump's campaign headquarters is only a short ride away in New York City. Thousands are gathered there at the Hilton Hotel in Midtown Manhattan.
And then there's the Honolulu mayoral race. Former U.S. Representative Charles Dejoux is challenging incumbent Kirk Caldwell. Rail and homelessness are the 2 big issues in this race.
In the race for Congress, former U.S. Representative Colleen Hanabusa is running in 2 elections on the same ballot. One is the special election to replace the late Congressman Mark Takai, and then there's the full 2-year term starting in January.
After winning a Senate seat to fill the term for the late Dan Inouye, U.S. Senator Brian Schatz is hoping to keep his seat and be elected for a full 6-year term.
And one of the most closely watched races in the state legislature pits lone Republican Senator Sam Sloan against Democrat Stanley Chang.
And we have a team of reporters covering all the big races on the ballot this general election.
Let's start with JoBeth DeVera. She's live at Kahala Elementary, where there were some voting issues earlier today.
And we begin with breaking news across the state tonight as we track 2 big stories. On Oahu, it's gridlock on the roads ahead of the president's arrival at Hickam Air Force Base. He's expected to land within the hour and then head to the University of Hawaii at Manoa. We'll be tracking his motorcade live.
But first, Tropical Storm Madeline, high winds, heavy rain, and huge surf. The system is covering about half the Big Island right now. We are already seeing severe flooding and closed roads.
And right behind Madeline, of course, Lester, a Category 4 hurricane, still on track to slam the state this weekend. We'll take a closer look in the forecast ahead.
First, Madeline, gusts are hitting about 70 miles an hour right now. The center is passing south of the Big Island, but the storm's effects are reaching all the way to Oahu. Let's start with some live shots. Here's what it looks like right now in Hawaiian Paradise Park. That's on the east side of the Big Island. The winds and surf buffeting the shoreline there. Look at all those fancy homes riding it out.
Yeah, we continue to see dangerous surf in Ka'u. You can see here gusty winds too, even some raindrops on the camera. We're seeing waves up to 25 feet. It could get higher as well. And let's get video to what we've been getting from viewers now. This is from Zelda Kanakaole. Heavy rains causing flash flooding in the Kapoho Waiaupai area of the Big Island. And obviously you can't travel down this road at all because it's overwhelmed, overtaken by rainwater and has turned into a steady river.
You're looking live at Air Force One as it taxis down the runway at Hickam Air Force Base with the president on board.
President of the United States back in town for the first time since late December when he was here with his family on vacation. This time it's business. He'll be getting off Air Force One momentarily and then hightailing it to UH Manoa to give a speech there at the East-West Center to conservationists. He'll then head over to Kailua for the evening and have a good night's sleep before he heads to Midway Atoll tomorrow. The theme of this whole trip, talking about his expansion of the Papahanaumokuakea Marine National Monument.
As we wait for the doors to open, though, traffic has been stopped on the H1 eastbound outside of the airport and all along Moanalua Freeway, up the H1 up until you get to UH Manoa, where he is expected. Trip is expected to take him about 15 minutes along the H1 freeway to get to UH.
Of course, the Secret Service doesn't release a lot of details about the president's visit, so we are going to find out along with you exactly who gets off the plane, who might be escorting him tonight, how long that takes. Sometimes it's quick, sometimes it's not, but as you can see, they brought out the special truck to get the stairs in place, so he is trying to make it to the East-West Center quickly. As we know, all those folks in there are already sat and waiting for him, and he knows that, so they'll be in a hurry.
Yeah, he left Nevada from Lake Tahoe about 1:30 this afternoon Hawaii time, landed about 10 minutes ago, so it was a quick flight over here, definitely quicker than we take when we take Hawaiian Airlines, that's for sure. You can see they rolled out the red carpet and they're about to open the doors, hopefully in the next few minutes.
Of course, one big factor in the president's visit is our weather this week. As you know, we are all watching Tropical Storm Madeline tonight, along with Category 3 Hurricane Lester. Just a few days behind it, still on track to impact possibly the entire island chain while the president is here. So it's a complicating factor, but as you can see behind him right now, blue skies.
The door is opening at Air Force One. Of course, this takes a few minutes before the president comes out. The Secret Service, of course, comes out, and then they have a lot of his handlers. The stairs moves up toward the door. This takes a few minutes, and we do want to say, look, it's a beautiful day out there. It's bright and sunny out here on Oahu. Our friends on the Big Island, though, getting hit by some heavy rain and wind.
That's right, and we have all kinds of videos and live pictures from the Big Island we will be going to shortly. But you just can't turn away from the exit of the president as he's getting off Air Force One here in Honolulu. Home at last, about to step off and smell that sweet, warm Hawaiian breeze. You know that feeling when you get back in town. It's distinctive, and it's especially warm out there as well with the mugginess ahead of the storms.
Yep, and coming up to greet him, it looks like Mayor Caldwell, probably the governor. I've covered many of these when he's come to vacation on his annual December trip, and usually there are a lot of Hawaii dignitaries as well there to greet him at the bottom of the stairs. It looks like that is happening right now as the black SUV has rolled up, and they're just awaiting the president walking out the doors.
That's right. It's always who's who of local dignitaries. Who gets to be down there to shake hands and say welcome home. Often Senator Schatz is in that group, along with our other Congress members. It's unclear who's down there besides the mayor. I spotted him as well.
Right, because of his aloha shirt, we can always tell that's the mayor.
And certainly military leaders as well. And perhaps some of the conservationists who are leading the Congress, the World Conservation Conference, that is, here in Honolulu. That is a big deal with thousands of dignitaries and environmental leaders from around the world. That's why the president wanted to be here. He certainly could have canceled with Hurricane Madeline giving him a good excuse to call it off, but he hung in there and is now momentarily coming out and waving to the hometown crowd.
Yep, he usually does that. And
we were worried that he was going to cancel because of the storms pending. There he is, and there's the wave. Walks down the stairs, shakes hands with a few people.
I don't think we've seen him getting off in Hawaii in a business suit.
Yeah.
He's usually in his vacation attire. Good evening, everyone. Hope you're all staying safe and dry tonight. Tropical Storm Darby continues to surprise us with enough heavy rain to put Oahu under a flash flood warning for the past 2 hours. That warning is in effect until at least 10 o'clock tonight. It's been pouring for several hours now, and we have all kinds of new video just into our newsroom. Booming thunder and loads of lightning. This is in Kalihi. The downpour started just before 7 this evening in most spots. Fire crews were instantly called out to numerous flooding emergencies. And breaking news, the biggest emergency in the last hour is the flood that's blocking the H1 freeway right now. The road itself is underwater. All westbound lanes near School Street are closed. The embankment on the Mauka side was overflowing like a waterfall. Police are trying to evacuate drivers by directing them off the freeway using the Liliha on-ramp. Let's take a live picture as this is happening right now. It's quite a mess out there. They're literally sending drivers the wrong way up that on-ramp to get them off the freeway, and there are a lot of cars to deal with, and you can see all the other folks waiting patiently in traffic as police try to direct people in the pouring rain. HECO also reports power outages in Kalihi, Manoa, Waikiki and Diamond Head, and Hawaii Kai. Crews are troubleshooting as we speak. We'll stay on top of this breaking news situation. Many people were caught off guard, including this driver who got stuck in the middle of Dillingham Boulevard outside the Kapalama Center. Earlier this evening, it was calm. So a lot of people had gone out for dinner or shopping, and that's right when the thunderstorm started. And sewer hole covers and underground vents were bursting with rainwater in downtown Honolulu. Keep in mind, all that water is heading into the ocean. You can expect brown water advisories to be up possibly for several days in some spots. And here's what it was like driving through the storm tonight. This was on School Street. Windshield wipers on high speed.
That's good video.
Back in time, the first wave of thunderstorms came ashore on Oahu at about 5 this afternoon. Beachgoers hustled back to their cars here at Ala Moana Beach. And before long, backyards in East Oahu had small waterfalls rushing through. This is behind Kalani High School this evening, a drainage culvert overflowing, a lot of brown, muddy water heading down toward the coast. The storm has passed the Big Island, but there is one big mess to clean up there in Kailua Kona. The Spirit of Kona broke its mooring and ran aground hard near Kukailimoku Street Point, that is, near the lighthouse. The 65-foot-long tour ship has been spilling fuel, and the public is warned to stay out of the water from King Kamehameha Hotel to the west side of Kailua Harbor. More on this ahead in a few minutes. So, Darby delivers after all. On the Big Island, Pa'awilo got more than 10 inches. Maui got even more, nearly 13 inches in West Wailuaiki. And now it's Oahu's turn, but what a strange storm it's been. After passing the Big Island, this is a 48-hour clip here. It looked like the storm is heading up to Slam Oahu earlier today, but then it fizzled and reformed off the North Shore, which is what you're seeing there. Let's get to our meteorologist, Jennifer Robbins. Jen, Darby keeps us all guessing tonight.
That's right, Keahi. We've been watching this very carefully during the afternoon hours. This is what we saw. You can see Darby had some converging winds behind the system.
Well,
Welcome back. As you can see, the sun is up on a day full of significance, the 75th anniversary of the attack on Pearl Harbor. Sunrise, we should mention, will be with you for the next half hour, and then we will be carrying live the commemoration ceremony at 7:30.
And there's a lot planned for that ceremony. There's going to be flyovers from present-day jets and missing man formation, and then from also some historic warbirds are going to be in the sky. There's a lot to see. It's a very somber morning, but it's so special that we've been able to be here. Today was the final day of cane hauling for Hawaii's last remaining sugar plantation. We've known for months now that HC&S was winding down operations on Maui, but it still stings for the workers losing their jobs. Lisa Kubota is in Pu'unene with the story.
With the final cane haul now finished, hundreds of employees will soon have to adjust to life after sugar.
All right, people, smile cheeseburgers.
Employees captured final memories with coworkers who had become family.
To be able to be a part of this company and, of course, in the future, part of the history is just an honor and a privilege.
A turner hauler then delivered the last load of cane stalks to the Pu'unene mill for processing. An estimated 700 workers, retirees, and community members showed up for the historic moment.
It really was because of the innovation, creativity of the employees here at HC&S that kept it productive and able to compete.
First at 5, a serious health outbreak on Oahu has now spread to more than 4 dozen cases. Today, the State Department of Health confirmed 52 people have hepatitis A, significantly more than it reported just 6 days ago.
And back then, authorities had no idea where the virus originated, but today they said they've nailed down at least one source of the outbreak to an employee at a Waikele eatery who may have spread the illness.
Our Jim Mendoza is live at the Department of Health tonight. Jim, where does the person work?
I can tell you guys that the infected person works at a Baskin-Robbins. This is the first case that the health department has been able to link to a business regarding this hepatitis A outbreak.
Infected workers served ice cream and other frosty treats at Baskin-Robbins Waikele between the dates of June 17th to July 3rd. Customers she helped may have been exposed to hepatitis A.
We are here to protect the public's health.
State epidemiologist Sarah Park is urging anyone who went there between those dates to talk to their doctor about possibly being vaccinated.
Any person who potentially could have shared food, drink with the person, any person who would have been served food or drink by the person, and that's what we define as close contact.
The disease spreads through fecal matter that gets into food or drink, then is consumed. Hepatitis A's incubation period can be as short as 2 weeks or as long as a month or two before symptoms show.
Hepatitis A can be silent in a person in that they don't realize they have it.
The health department says the ice cream parlor is doing the right things, urging employees to get vaccinated, disinfecting surfaces, and reminding workers to wash their hands.
This could happen to any business.
Still, people we spoke with are being cautious.
You expect to come to a location to eat something and not have to worry about what's happening behind the counter.
Jojo Pascual took some of her kids to that Baskin-Robbins last month.
I'll probably consult with my pediatrician.
There are now 52 confirmed cases of hepatitis A on Oahu. All are adults. 16 were hospitalized.
Every time we have an outbreak, we hope we don't have such, large numbers of cases.
The health department says the Baskin-Robbins employee is recovering and doing well.
And Dr. Park told me today that pharmacies on Oahu are calling the health department saying that they are stocking up on hepatitis A vaccine, so it is readily available. Reporting live outside the health department, I'm Jim Mendoza, Hawaii News Now.